Welcome to the Wave Strength. Innovative pension solutions for a secure retirement. Presented by Pacific Life.
Welcome to the Wave Strength webinar series. My name is Russ Proctor. I've been with Pacific Life for about 11 years now, in the financial industry for about 35 years. And with me today is Allie Smith.
Hi, I'm Allie Smith. I've been with Pacific Life for about 8 years, most recently in the life division, but over in the institutional division for about 7 months now.
And in this episode of the Wave Strength, we're going to be talking about financial security, and in particular, the impact of the imposter syndrome on planning for retirement. And Allie, how would you describe the imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so the imposter syndrome is anybody can suffer from this, where you are at your job or in regular day-to-day life and you kind of are an imposter. You're faking who you are. You may not be showing your true self in the fear of being judged by your peers.
And it's more of that you're not really faking it, but internally you feel like you are. Like you feel like you're doing your job, and no matter how long you've been doing it, sometimes you feel like it feels like people are going to think I don't really know what I'm doing, even though you may be perfect at your job.
Absolutely. I think it's, the most self-critical that we can be on ourselves, whether you receive accolades from others. I mean, I've been at this company almost 8 years, and I still can't believe that I've been here that long and yet have a, Series 6 and all those other things. And actually, most recently, we did a webinar with Michelle Curran, former Air Force fighter pilot, who talked about this particular issue. And especially when she was in the Thunderbirds, and how that greatly impacted her. And she constantly felt like, especially being surrounded by men, and even though she would get promoted and be a part of the Thunderbirds, really struggled with this particular topic.
Yeah, I think that was interesting, and trying to overcome that, and knowing that in order to succeed, that she did need to kind of overcome that and recognize she was there for a reason, and that she had to be able to ask questions and do her job as well as she could. And I think that's a challenge that we all face in our lives. I've been in the financial industry for 35 years, like I mentioned. Retirement planning, I would think I would know everything about it, but there are times I still feel like I'm faking it. And one of these days people are going to figure it out, and I need to retire before they figure out I don't know what I'm talking about. But I've seen that, throughout my life. I don't know if you've faced that as well.
Absolutely. And I think from a woman's perspective, it is even more so, especially when it comes to retirement planning. Not really knowing when certain life things are going to happen. Am I going to get married? Am I going to have a child? As a woman, usually becoming the primary caretaker for a family member, that can be a huge issue in facing that imposter syndrome, especially for women, and usually them ending up, even if none of those things happen, still being farther behind men on the savings pattern because not really knowing how to address that.
Yeah, I experienced that as well. We're talking with people, being afraid to really talk about your retirement planning, like how much money you've saved for it. I think there's always the fear that whatever amount you say you've saved, maybe it's not enough, or whatever you're doing, it's not the right thing. And I felt the same thing, where I'm afraid if I tell somebody I've saved X, amount of money, they would say, "Is that all you've saved? Aren't you supposed to know about this retirement stuff?" And the fact is, it's hard to know what the right number is, because nobody really tells you. For you, your exact number needs to be this, and so you know that you're on track with that.
Being a millennial, that's a whole different conversation. The landscape has changed. You have millennials that may not have children, that, may live and work remotely now, just can't, get on top of it. And, I started with a 401k because that was what the company offered, but I'm not really sure where to go from there.
Yeah. And, I think with in terms of trying to plan for what you need, it is important for people to think about how long you're going to live, that people really don't know, how much you need to save, what are the risks that you may be facing in retirement coming up, all of those things that you really need to be able to talk about. But if you're afraid about, letting people know the things you don't know, that can be a challenge.
I think we have kind of addressed that a little bit internally because, I think that's the biggest question. How do I know where I'm at? How can I judge that? What if I don't want to ask my peers? Or, I may be in a different situation than my peers. How do I bring that up or know where I fall? Yeah,
and some of the things that we've done that maybe we can talk about as well is thinking about personas that we develop in terms of different age groups, different situations in life that may help people relate to, hey, I see where that person is. Maybe that fits closer to what I'm looking at.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think our personas are really great. I know we have a couple different ones, some that are earlier on into their retirement, maybe middle of the road, and then, within the retiring within the next 5 years or so. And I think, again, those are just one piece of a puzzle that is very, very helpful to others. And, okay, I see how much this person has saved and I'm really close to that number. I'm really far off, or, how can I get there? What has this person done that I might, want to consider doing?
Yeah, I think that does help. I know there's ways to look at it in terms of, are you on track for retirement or not? And even though that's hard to know exactly what that number is, if you can see that, okay, I'm, 30 years old or 40 years old, and I see somebody else of sort of they're on track of where they need to be, or if they're falling short, that even without asking, you can see, it looks like I'm about on track or I'm falling behind. And maybe that opens it up where you might feel more comfortable asking about something like that.
Well, and I was going to say, as an actuary, it's probably hard not to know what the exact number should be.
Well, and that's funny where that imposter syndrome comes in, because I feel like I should know exactly what it is. But as an actuary, I don't know how long I'm going to live. And so it maybe makes it worse for me, because I know that it's longer than most people expect, but I know that no one person can know exactly how long they're gonna live. So you don't know exactly what that number is.
Yeah.
So it does make it challenging.
No, absolutely. And, all we can do is educate ourselves. And, I think every day, the more conversations that we can have and create these tools, education and awareness, I know for me has been the biggest aspect, and not necessarily waiting for a specific event to happen or, somebody to have a loss. I think anything that we can do day to day just to make those small little changes and those habits, really become something that's integrated in our lives, and we can have these open conversations, because it's so important. And I definitely don't want to be 90, working still. I want to be able to enjoy my life and, travel, all that stuff. Who knows where travel will be by then? I might be going off to space.
Yeah. So I think lots to learn. And again, the kind of the key thing today that we're talking about is that you do need to talk about these things to get the education, to try to find the thing that fits you, and everyone's a little bit different, but find the education path that fits you and focus on the things that you can do to kind of improve your retirement and be able to enjoy your life in retirement that we're seeing so many people are not, where they're either didn't save enough or they're not spending what they did save. Lots of challenges that we're seeing out there.
Yeah, we want people to spend but also save. There's a nice happy medium when you can do both.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. If you'd like to go and see more of our Wave Strength content, you can visit us on YouTube and Spotify. Have a wonderful day.
This has been another episode of The Wave Strength, presented by Pacific Life. Don't forget to catch us on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Although this is presented by Pacific Life, the opinions and views expressed are those of the hosts and participants and do not necessarily reflect Pacific Life's views on any of the topics discussed. Pacific Life is a product provider. It is not a fiduciary and therefore does not give advice or make recommendations regarding insurance or investment products. Pacific Life, its affiliates, its distributors, and respective representatives do not provide any employer-sponsored qualified plan administrative services or impartial advice about investments, and do not act in a fiduciary capacity for any plan. Pacific Life refers to Pacific Life Insurance Company, Newport Beach, California, and its affiliates, including Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Insurance products are issued by Pacific Life Insurance Company in all states except New York, and in all states by Pacific Life and Annuity Company. Product availability and features may vary by state. Each insurance company is solely responsible for the financial obligations accruing under the products it issues. This was recorded on April 7th, 2022.